I've actually had quite an interesting week this week, so I thought maybe it's time to actually give you an update and tell you a bit about what's happening in the UK if you're not based in the UK in terms of climate policy and action against climate change. Right. So the week started in a very positive way. The UK government has committed to producing a climate change bill, which is making legal commitments on climate change. These will be a target for 2050 reductions, but with yearly targets along the way, which they'll have to meet. As part of this, they set up a climate change committee to advise the government on the level of the targets and which. Well, actually, it was just the level of the targets, I think. However, they came back with a broader response than that. They came back saying that rather than the government's current aim of 60% by 2050, based on 1990 levels, they should cut by 80% from 1990 levels by 2050. They also said that international aviation shipping should be included, which everyone, or at least everyone, virtually all NGOs had been asking for, who were involved, concerned with the area. Went to a climate camp meeting on Tuesday. If you want to know where these meetings are, then it's climatecamp.org.uk/London if you're in London, or if you're elsewhere in the UK, then just go to climatecamp.org.uk. In London we have these meetings weekly. They've been in the Brunei galleries at the School for Oriental and African Studies, I believe. But I think they're just moving slightly further towards King's Cross now. Then Wednesday we had there was a flash mob at City Airport, at Newham Town Hall, where there was a planning decision on City Airport to happen. So everyone turned up and either had red t-shirts on or provided with them. And then at a certain time, the idea is that everyone then reveals that everyone in this crowd is also a member of a protest. It was a bit chaotic. It wasn't wasn't very organised. It didn't work as well as the Heathrow one worked, which was really impressive. But it was a photo opportunity. There was, I think, an ITV TV crew there, some local news media.
Okay, well, you can move outside and reveal at about 10 to ITV are here live. Sorry, they want to take a picture of us.
Fight the flights! 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 Fight the
And then we went inside, or quite a few of us went inside and took to public galleries, and it was a bit of a farce. Anyway, the significant thing happened is that the airport got the go-ahead. If you want my impressions of the meeting process, then just check out climatechangeaction.blogspot.com, which is my blog. Also, the same day, Stansted Airport got the go-ahead. So it was an expansion of City Airport and expansion of Stansted Airport. Bearing in mind, this is only a couple of days after the Climate Change Committee. We're talking about 80% cuts by 2050. So exactly how the rest of the economy, apart from aviation, is meant to be working, according to the government's thinking, I think saying that the government have thinking on this is going a bit too far. Then after this, more news. The European Union's Environmental Committee, ENVI, decided they've actually made quite a large numbers of decisions. Again, there's links from my website to all the documents that they were discussing, although not the decisions, because I haven't found those. There's also some news articles about the decisions. But they decided to ban coal from 2015, or at least they set a limit on carbon emissions per kilowatt hour of energy produced from coal, which is likely to rule out all old coal technologies and would force carbon capture and storage to be applied, or another energy source to be used. so that sounds like good news. Of course, it still has to pass for member states, and the EU, the UK are most likely going to be opposed to that, along with Poland, which is like 90% coal or something, extremely against the evil idea of climate change, this conspiracy which the president of Poland keeps bashing away at. Then, for the last couple of days, Saturday and Sunday, I spent the weekend in Manchester at the get-together for a relatively new network, which I had only heard about when they. So the network's called was called Leave It in the Ground. It's meant to be a network of anti-coal organisations in the UK, particularly anti-coal organisations taking direct action, in all that forms of non-violent direct action always, but direct action. However, Leave It in the Ground was also a banner which various other actions have been carried out under, such as when a group of people stopped a train at Drax. So there's Drax is the UK's largest coal-fired power plant, and there's a train line going into it which exclusively carries coal. So you can, using red flags, which is a standard way of stopping a train, you can actually flag the train down, sort of cause an obstruction, and then know that you're not inconveniencing passengers and just hindering the coal plant. So people did this. 29 people, I think 29 of them were arrested. I'm not sure if that's all of them. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. They're currently going to court, but they used the Leave It in the Ground banner. So Leave It in the Ground network, which I was at, decided to change its name so that if someone goes out and does something which is which we wouldn't want to be associated with, then that's fine. Because Leave It in the Ground is quite a good slogan, and it's kind of out there, and various people are claiming it. So let's just leave that alone, and we've changed ourselves to something dull but descriptive, so that people aren't going to be spraying it onto the side of things or putting it on placards or banners or whatever. But it does let people know what we do. So we call ourselves the Coal Action Network, which is like the least inventive name in the world. The sort of thing which it was actually it took us quite a long time to get this decision. It did cross my mind that, you know, every time a PR company is paid like £500,000 by the government or £1 million to come up with a new name, it always seems simple. You always wonder why it took so long. So it's quite an effort to come to something you can agree on. On the way back to that meeting, I was reading about carbon capture and storage, which I've mentioned quite a few times on my website. It's quite contentious. I first wrote about it in 2005, probably around the time the IPCC released their report on carbon capture and storage, a special report. And I've always been pro-CCS, and quite strongly pro-CCS to start with, and sort of gradually got more sceptical about it. But I'm doing quite a lot of research at the moment. I'm going to write a report of some kind on this. Probably also do a briefing on it for the Coal Action Network, which I'm involved with in a research group now. And today, which is Monday the 13th, it's the climate rush at Parliament. 100 years ago to the day, the suffragettes rushed Parliament and made their case for universal adult suffrage, for ability for adults in the UK to vote. So a girl called Townsend from Plain Stupid mentioned this. Well, first time I heard about it was at the climate camp. She started telling people about it. I think everyone's reaction to it was, "That's amazing, you've got to do it, I'll be there." So she did, and she's got a large number of people, or a large amount of effort she's gone into, and she's been going out on the streets, dressed as a suffragette, all in white with a red sash saying Climate Code Red, handing out leaflets around London. And I think there's going to be a really good number of people there. I'm going to take my camcorder, so that will be the next video I put up on YouTube.